So here it is, the highly anticipated adventure in Transylvania by Sleepless Night. Welcome back, everybody, to another Bricklink Designer Program set review, always a mouthful, and specifically Series 5 now. We are just cooking away. It is crazy how fast this is going. I think they've announced all the way up to Series 7, Series 8 now. It is a ongoing program. And for those of you unfamiliar with the Bricklink Designer Program sets, they are basically Kickstarter official Lego sets that are going through Bricklink. And as always, these are just pre-orders. Now, this specific set, along with 4 others, will go up for pre-order in just a few days on June 10th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, I want to thank the Bricklink team for sending this set over for a very early review. This will not be shipping until the end of October, beginning of November, about 6 months from now. And that timing is kind of perfect, given the Gothic Vampirian style of this castle, if you will. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous how much detail Sleepless Night has put into this. Now, if that name sounds familiar, I have reviewed some of his other Bricklink Designer Program sets, both from Series 1 with the Mountain Fortress, as most recently as the Siege Encampment from Series 4. So this is my third now from the designer, and I gotta say, he continues to raise the bar, and I am very impressed. I think one of these days, LEGO's gonna scoop him up as an official designer, because what he's doing here is beautiful. All right, so what are the details here? Well, first off, 4,056 pieces, 14 minifigures, a retail price of $350, which honestly, price for piece ratio wise, with the minifigures, that's pretty reasonable, especially given the incredible architecture of this set. That actually is not, for once, a bad price to pay for a Lego set. I feel like there's a lot of value to get out of this set, and we'll talk more about that towards the end of the review. Now, this is not the only set launching, of course, and the others are just as good, honestly. This whole entire Series 5 wave of Bricklink Designer Program sets is just really, really good. I mean, the other one I personally really want is Thieves of Tortuga. I'm going to be picking that up myself. Lego/Bricklink only sends out one of these for review, and I gotta have the Thieves of Tortuga. That thing looks incredible. Almost the same piece count as well. I think just over 4,000 pieces. I think it's like 50 less than this, and also 1 less minifigures. I mean, the 2 sets are just going to be absolutely bonkers with fans. I think both are going to sell out fairly quickly. This one might take the cake in terms of what sells out first. Usually these Bricklink Designer Programs only last for a few hours before they sell out. The ones that aren't as popular tend to go for a few days, but for the most part, these all sell out pretty quickly. So if you're interested in these sets, again, links down in the description. Come back here, June 10th, click the link, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, put your pre-order in, and then you gotta wait 6 months. So that's how it goes. Now, there's plenty to explore within the adventure in Transylvania, so let's go right into all the different details.
So where do I even begin with this set? I mean, there's so much here, yet it's actually a little simpler than you might expect. I think the crazy Gothic architecture, all those like details utilizing Technic pieces might throw you off that this is like an incredibly complex set, but it honestly felt like just a traditional Lego set. Yes, you're switching things up with a few Technic pieces here and there, but it felt like a normal system set or something you would see in the modular building lineup. Now, given that this set is obviously darker in tone, both in its horror kind of vibe as well as just aesthetics, you will have a little bit more of a trickier building process because, well, there's a lot of black Lego pieces and they tend to get lost in translation, especially the instructions. But if you take your time like I did, I didn't feel like the building process was that monotonous. It's just a long process. And I think the result speaks for itself. Now, the depth here, a little bit smaller than you might expect, at least when the set is open. It's a giant accordion set, so there's one giant split of hinges down the middle, and it's fairly easy to open and close. There's just one little clip connecting it all. You can also pick up this set without it breaking into a million pieces. It's extremely rock solid, and it's crazy that when the set is closed, it almost feels like an entirely new set. It doesn't feel the same as when it's open, which is an incredible testament to the designer. There's plenty of details to go through this set in terms of the interior, but also the exterior with all the different parts usage being utilized is really just incredible. But let's go ahead, let's make our way onto the inside. There's plenty in here to explore, to be spooked by, and honestly, I was very surprised at how well executed the interior is. But let's talk about the figures, because you got to populate that interior with something. There's 14 14 minifigures. The first of which we have just a family of 4 here. So we have 2 daughters as well as mom and dad. They look quite dapper. Then we have the stereotypical like hunter after the treasure trying to get the money. And then we have an explorer who's maybe trying to solve the mystery. As for the other characters here, none of them have official names, at least by the designer. So really you can make up who's who, but we have a couple of explorers on one side, and then we have a little maybe librarian lady, as well as the chef here with a pumpkin. And then finally we have Dracula, a little ghost, as well as a knight in armor. But let's move on to the set now and go on this adventure together. First off, here at the entrance, we have a couple different details. I've placed the little family kind of entering these stairs, but off to the side, we have a little gravestone area. And to my surprise, Tiago's little tile is also making an appearance in here, which is pretty hilarious. We have a nice big dead tree that's falling leaves onto the ground, which is a nice little extra detail. In fact, there's a lot of foliage throughout this build. They're all fall colors, which just makes it pop. I absolutely love this, and it just adds to the set. Making our way up this very detailed staircase. I love how the stairs are actually designed, kind of slope around up to this door. It just really brings you into the set. It's beautifully crafted and looks so good. Off to the side, there's more Easter eggs. I'm sure this is referencing some characters that I'm just unaware of. There's a little tunnel through the stairs, which I think is a nice little addition as well. And then we can make our way into the build. So first off, through that grand entrance, we have a hallway, and that kind of leads into about 4 to 5 different rooms, all of which are very detailed and have a specific theme going on. And I also just want to mention just how ingenious this wall is, how it moves back and forth as you open and close the set. Like, that kind of blew my mind. But as we make our way through the entrance, we have the knight in armor right here. We have the explorer coming in. Oh, what's that? That's the first booby trap. That's right. And he goes into jail. Poor guy. And there's a little dial here. It just pushes this trap door up and down, which is pretty fun, I gotta say. Off to the side where the jail is, we have a little library here, so maybe you'll find some spells or any type of information on Dracula. It's really up to you. There's some nice floor details as well as some other fun Easter eggs. Now, what comes next kind of blew my mind. As we turn this dial and we make our way to the other side of this wall, yes, this is Dracula's tomb, if you will, and it actually opens up and he pops out. Like, that's awesome. And if you turn that dial the opposite way, well, he just goes right back into his tomb and it closes back up all by itself. Like, if that's not a reason for you to want this set, I don't know what is. I think that's such a fun little function. It's something I would expect in a normal Lego set. I'm surprised that's something in a Bricklink Designer Program set. Like, that's so cool. Then we have a staircase leading up to this next room. It could be a giant gallery, if you will. We have a giant organ off to the side here with a very cleverly built chair. But I think the highlight of this room is this shattering chandelier that can just be dropped super easily. And it also has a fun little function here, and you just kind of rope it back up and release it on whoever is unlucky to be underneath of it. Finally, we make our way up this ladder up to the very top of the house or mansion, castle, whatever you want this to be. And off to the side here, if we take off this roof, well, we have a little treasure in here as well, being guarded by this gargoyle. We have some coins, we have a little candle that's lit, some cups as well, and then inside we have a little golden key. Maybe this is being protected by the ghost lady. It's really up to you for what kind of story you want to tell throughout this build. I also love the ingenious usage of not only masonry brick, but snot work and how that blends in between these two walls. Like, that's how seamless the building techniques are. A lot of bats being utilized, obviously, given the theme of this set, and it's really ingenious how the designer utilized that piece as well. And you can see there's so much to look at here. It's not just one giant thing. There's little itty bitty details just about everywhere you look. No part of this set hadn't been thought out. Like, it is incredible. And it also has to be mentioned just how rare it is to find an official Lego set with so many dark colors and yet this detailed. Like, this is kind of a standout amongst the entire lineup of Lego sets. So I had a pretty tough time finding other Lego sets to compare against the Adventure in Transylvania. Like, it's a tough one in that regard, but I went with Lion Knight's Castle. I know that's an odd choice, but they actually scale very similarly to each other, especially when they're both closed up. They're almost the exact same footprint, footprint, which is surprising. We have a $350 Bricklink set here on the right, and then a $400 official Lego set on the left. And it's crazy just how similar in scale that these two really are. And at the same time, they're a huge contrast to each other. Like, one is very bright, normal in the daylight castle. The other is a haunted mansion, basically. And they actually look really cool side by side. In fact, I could see fans putting these two sets next to each other because of the contrast. And I think that is really unique. Now, when you look at these sets side by side, you could make an argument that Adventure in Transylvania is more detailed than Lion Knight's Castle, which I have to agree with. Plus, there is some funny similarities between these two sets, like how the wall is changing on the Lion Knight's Castle. It's the same way with Adventure in Transylvania. Now, the designer Sleepless Night mentioned that he used Rivendell as inspiration for this set, which is hard to believe given the color contrast difference here, but I could see it. There's a lot of architecture happening within Rivendell, and you can see some part similarities within Adventure of Transylvania. There is some stuff happening there, but at the same time, again, there's a huge contrast difference. One is bright, beautiful. The other is dark, scary, and menacing, gothic, horrific in some ways. Like, it's just plain and simple. It's good versus evil really being on display here, and I think that's really, really cool. Now, this is no contest to Rivendell. That is still the better set by a long mile, but I gotta say, Adventure in Transylvania really holds its own. This is a objectively beautiful set in its own right.
Now, I gotta hand it to Sleepless Night. He included all the primary colors here. So that's red, yellow, and blue. And it's kind of crazy considering how dark of a castle this is that it works. Like, perfect execution here. The detail, of course, is chef's kiss. I mean, look at this. The use of Technic pieces was ingenious. I think he spent like 2 years designing this, and it really shows. I mean, there's really nothing that hasn't been thought through on. In terms of the building aspect for this set, I use preliminary instructions, so I really can't comment because they're not finalized. All I can say is this is a long build. You will be spending many hours putting this together, like at minimum 6 at least. So if you've been looking for a nice traditional Lego build that isn't breaking the bank per se, you know, $500+, and you want something that's beautiful on display, well, Adventure in Transylvania is the answer. I think this is going to be incredibly popular with fans. I think it's going to sell out within a few hours come June 10th of this month. I mean, this is going to be a great one. It will go down as maybe one of the best, if not the best, Bricklink Designer Program sets, and no complaints. I mean, great minifigure lineup, lots of fun, great play features, absolutely gorgeous to display. Love the fact you have multiple display options, always a favorite of mine. What more can I say about this set? I mean, it's that good. So the bottom line here is, if you have the funds and you're interested in this set, I say pick it up. It's a great set. The Gothic architecture, the sheer amount of detail and interesting techniques being utilized here will surprise any Lego fan. I mean, this particular part of the castle, you're not going to see it coming in terms of what's going on here. I was just like, what am I putting together right now? It's kind of crazy. Moments like that happened multiple times, and it's kind of ridiculous. So enjoy this one, guys. I know it's a 6-month wait until you get them, but I promise once it arrives come end of October, well, you're in for a real treat for this year's Halloween. So with that said, thanks again to Bricklink for sending this set over for a very early review. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Hope you guys have a great and wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.